In money matters, the rand is muted against a stronger dollar, trading at the range of 18 Rand 60 and 18 Rand 71, and giving up some gains from the previous session. Bianca Botes is the Executive Director at Citadel Global, and she joins us for a market wrap this hour. Bianca, thank you very much for your time. So the rand remains weaker against a stronger dollar. What will another sharp depreciating cycle for food prices and overall investor sentiment mean?
I think the rand has been quite a point of contention for a lot of South Africans, with it being extremely volatile over the past couple of weeks and seeing swings as much as 8% a week. So I think there's definitely a bit of fear in the market in terms of what it could mean should the rand top the 19 rand mark again. And to put it into perspective, the moment that the rand actually significantly weakens, it has an impact on what we pay for things that we import. Specifically in the food sector, we import things such as frozen meat, soybeans, wheat and rice. So we can expect those prices to remain elevated should the commodity price remain stable or even further weaken, or strengthen rather. And you will actually see that food inflation will then remain sticky. And that's one of the biggest concerns that the SARB is currently facing, is that inflation is coming down, but food inflation in particular remains sticky. When we start looking at market sentiment and investor sentiment, while we are well aware that global facts actually drives that demand for the rand and investor appetite on a global scale, continued weakening of the rand does instill a little bit of fear in investors looking to actually approach South Africa as an investor destination, and also in local investors in terms of sentiment towards the country's ability to generate a return.
Speaking of the Reserve Bank, the SARB has published the latest quarterly bulletin. What does the data tell us about the state of the country's economic growth?
The report outlines that the South African economy actually saw 0.4% growth in the first quarter of this year, compared to a contraction of 1.1% in the last quarter of last year. However, even though we've seen an increase in output in 5 out of the 12 mining sectors, we've seen increase in manufacturing production, construction output, we've actually seen a decline in agricultural output, which is a bit worrisome in terms of food security as well as for our trade balance. And we've also highlighted the fact that the rand remained under quite a bit of pressure coming out of that first quarter on the back of load shedding, geopolitical woes, as well as poor growth. So it highlights that even though South Africa has posted a positive growth figure, we are some way away from actually securing growth that is sustainable, but also outperforms metrics such as population growth, so that we can have a sustained, viable economy that can actually cater for our population in the long run.
Stats SA has released the producer price inflation data for May. Are we seeing anything different there?
The price inflation has actually decreased. So in May 2023, the South African annual producer price inflation decreased to 7.3%, and that's down from the previous 8.6%, in line with market expectations. This also marked the lowest rate since August 2021. So it actually shows us that price pressure in the market is coming down, and that the tightening monetary policy deployed by the Reserve Bank is actually working in practice.
All right, so the FNB BER Consumer Confidence Index for the second quarter is also out. How are consumers feeling about economic prospects in their household finances?
Unfortunately, the Consumer Sentiment Index once again indicated a decrease in the index. It slipped to -25 from -23 previously. And the second quarter really saw households, and specifically your higher income individuals, coming under in particular strain, becoming less confident in spending their money. And that really tells a dismal story, especially for the retail sector in the country that depend on households' expenditure to really make profits in those sectors.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Bianca Botes is the Executive Director at Citadel Global.